everyone, my name is Loreine. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist here at Tendril Therapy. I primarily work with folks of color, especially immigrants, first, second generation, maybe even third, children of immigrants as well, some queer, trans individuals, basically marginalized folks. But basically, I work with clients that are looking to break out of their inherited cultural and societal messages that continue to feel restrictive or just no longer aligns with where they are in life. Some common issues that my clients struggle with are overfunctioning, people pleasing, perfectionism, a lot of guilt and shame. I also deal with a lot of more like complex grief, and what I mean by that is, some themes that my clients and I work on are just like grieving their childhood that they never got, family systems that they never got, maybe like cultural, sexual identities that they feel conflicted with. Because a lot of my clients do come with those similar concerns, I do provide slower, deeper, emotion-focused work, and that is very intentional. A lot of the times, a lot of the things that my clients and I are working through comes from some level of trauma. And that could be big T or small t trauma, depending on, clients' experience. So because of that, my work is centered around attachment theory and parts work, or IFS. I am IFS informed, not certified, at least not yet. Hopefully we change that soon. It's really hard to get that. I did also do a lot of my schooling in a school that was centered around emotion-focused therapy, so I can't help but have that influence as well, some EFT in there. I guess for the most part, I just provide a really secure base for clients to finally feel and express their emotions without feeling worried about judgment or needing to take care of anyone else. I find that a lot of the work that I do with clients is just almost like allowing them to experience themselves and their emotions, maybe even for the first time. Like, wow, like this is what anger actually feels like for me when I'm not concerned about, bothering or burdening other people, or my sadness is what this looks like when I'm not feeling like guilty or shameful for it. So that attachment really comes in handy just to help create that safe space and have that like positive corrective experience with clients, not just between us but also within themselves, and which then also lends me to IFS, and I've been loving using IFS to help clients reconnect with their sense of self. So the attachment helps with more of that external world, IFS helps with like the internal world, and I find that I'm able to provide a really holistic approach to therapy that way. There needs to be more folks that look like me doing therapy. Yes, and because of that, therapy is going to just inherently look different. When you have a therapist that already shares some sort of like, not just like a cultural background, but also some like lived experiences, I find that helps really color a lot of what comes out in the therapy space. But really, growing up, I have just like always been misunderstood as a kid. I too, kind of grew up with some like emotionally underdeveloped parents and just family systems, and that was just really, I know firsthand what it can feel like to like not be seen and not feel validated and feel like weird for just being me as a person, and what does that even mean? And so there was a lot to learn growing up. And so, in my work with my clients, I hope to provide that space that I wish I had growing up. Just someone to help normalize that, like, hey, like these are the experiences that are so valid, and some folks just may not quite understand, but doesn't mean that you're wrong or bad or not good enough for it. And so this is why I am so intentional about working with folks of color or just marginalized individuals, because they deserve to be validated and seen too. I love to use humor like, I mean, sure, I can be like very like, we'll get in there, but also like therapy doesn't have to be so serious. I joke around with my clients, and of course, like I'll also name if we're using humor too much to deflect or to distract or use too many emotional breaks, then okay, I'm gonna call that out. But which again is maybe that's another thing too is I'm very upfront with my clients. I love being collaborative, but also like, yeah, like help me help you. But then also I am gonna challenge and I'm gonna push, um, and of course with time, as soon as we build that enough enough of a therapeutic relationship and enough safety, then I will push and challenge my clients. I guess another thing that I that is a little unique to me maybe is I love using imagery. I don't know if this is because English is like my second language, and I don't know, like, and I guess like I'm just like my brain just works that way. But I oftentimes, like when I reflect back or provide some kind of like interpretation or just I just mirror with clients, I do love using imagery. It just kind of comes naturally to me, and I find that that also helps clients tap into their own creativity and imagination, which there's something about metaphors and things like that it helps describe like like a feeling or an experience almost better than just like words. So yeah, I use a lot of imagery, a lot of pictures. But then also I do love using like therapeutic art, maybe even incorporating some music into sessions. I love doing like just like some somatic like grounding exercise with clients. We'll do them together, a lot of breath work. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more than just talk therapy. I just get so proud when I've been working with clients for a while, and they have come to a point where they just have built so much self-awareness, and they just have come to know themselves inside and out so well, and we've broken down like some of that like shame and guilt, maybe not completely but just enough so that they can like start to express themselves a little differently. I love highlighting those things. Like I'll say something like, okay, well, who is that? Like, wow, like you took a lot of initiative there, and what helped with that. And or I'll reflect back, and I'll notice like, hey, like even just the way that you're talking is sounds kind of different. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed. Or when clients start using some of the language that we've built together in sessions, like they it doesn't even have to be like necessarily like therapy vocab or words or terms, but they'll start describing things that they noticed about themselves, based on some of the sessions that we've had. And I couldn't be prouder, when they say things like, oh, but like I know that that both things can be true, and I'm like, I'm very proud. To me, self-care is anytime I just get to slow down or maybe even be in stillness. I think the world, especially right now, could really use, like a lot of us could really use some slowness and stillness. And I know that can feel very like counterintuitive, especially when things are feeling so chaotic, and and then our bodies get so dysregulated because of that. And there's like a calling to want to amp up energy or like be prepared, and we can absolutely hold space for that too. And at the same time, it's so important to just pause. So to me, whatever that means, so whether it's even just like taking a few deep breaths while like I'm making my morning coffee or my tea, even just like stepping outside. I mean, like self-care doesn't have to be so complicated, and especially for those of us that like don't have access to certain things, and we don't, I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive or complicated at all. So yeah, to me, self-care is just finding ways to just like actually just come back to the here right now, and actually just like reorient myself to the life that I've built, where I am in this moment. Maybe practice some gratitude for what I have, my health, my happiness, my safety. Yeah, well, thanks for giving me some time. Yeah,